I don't know if anyone would like to ask a question. I think you might have responded well, but I saw one question in the chat about these white domes. People were asking what it was, but I don't know if everybody read the comments, so maybe you can explain just to start with.
Yeah, sure. They're not observatories for stellar studies or something. They are just domes as a second floor for bedrooms or study or whatever. So they're wooden constructions with and well, actually, this is a rather old picture because some of them are now quite overgrown with green stuff. So kind of blending in with the rest.
Very nice. So nothing, not like a magic place, simply bedrooms in a way. Okay, very nice. Someone asks, the Italian village is very steep, correct?
The village is a collection. Is made of different hamlets of like yes, different hamlets on a steep mountain just in front of the Monviso mountain, from 800 meters to 2,000 meters. So yes, it's a steep.
And I guess it makes mobility a challenge. This was a topic we've been working with together with Astana as well. Any other questions? I don't know. I'm also asking my colleagues if you spotted a question in the chat. Any questions in the chat? Any additional ones? Or if anyone wants to speak up or put a question. Matyas, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. It was very, very, I was very amazed both of the stories, and thank you very much for sharing. And I would like to have a question from Laura that what kind of inhabitants do you have there? So what are their backstories, and what were their motivation to live a lifestyle like that in that small community?
The average age is quite young compared to the Italian average, because there are families with the kids. There are a group of older inhabitants. There are new inhabitants. What happened in the last 2 or 3 years is that there is a very active group of young people from, let's say, 20 to 30. And also there are international inhabitants. We are talking about 100, nearly 100 official residents. But then there is a wider community of people going, coming and going to work for different activities. There is this. There are 2 research centers. One is Alpstream, which is the research center for alpine rivers, and the other is Monviso Institute, which is related to ETH Zurich. So there is also often is inhabited by students that come and stay a while and then go. So I really like the title of the subtitle of this meeting, as Edina and Anita and Demesh proposed, right to stay and right to come. It's not sometimes in Italy the discussion is about how to allow people to stay. It's not important that young people stay. It's important that they go, they learn things, and they come back, and also to create condition from other people from abroad to come here. So without borders, let's say.
But maybe answer the same question. I guess that's what you wanted, maybe. Like, who are the typical inhabitants in your, in a way? Or Mati, you wanted to ask?
Yes, I wanted to ask from Paul that who started and how did it start? So how did you define the group of people who, in the end, who invested into this project? So what was the process to preparing? Who bought the piece of land? Are they the same people who later on built the houses? So everyone owns his own property. So did you need like people with wealth to invest, or did you provide some alternative opportunities for people who didn't have money? So maybe you could talk about a little bit about this, because it's the beginning story is very interesting.
Yes, yes. Well, actually, in our initial goals was also we also stated that we wanted to build something for people with any income, like also people who are usually dependent on social welfare, so to speak. So we only had the handicap that that we didn't have any seed money to kind of reserve money for rental houses. We were just a group of people coming together, wanting to build this type of houses, learning it to do it by ourselves. And assuming that it would be very cheap to do so, because we would do it with our own labor, and together with a lot of volunteers. Well, the houses initially they eventually cost about the same as a newly built house somewhere else, anywhere in the Netherlands. So the founding costs were kind of the same, but in the usage of the houses, you got very low costs, because they kind of provide you with energy, with clean drinking water, with wastewater treatment, and you've got a whole community to support whatever happens. So that is invaluable, you may say, and makes it a lot cheaper to live. Anyway, we encountered the municipality of Olst, and they said, "Okay, you want to build houses for people who are, who don't have the money. How would it be if we get you into touch with one of with the housing corporation that is, well, at least in the Netherlands, a housing corporation is erected for building affordable housing for social rent." So they got on board, and they financed 3 houses that were for social rent rates. So we had this type of income also included in our group, which was very fortunate. But yeah, it's kind of hard if you just get a group together and you don't have the money to finance in advance rental housing, especially if it's experimental houses. Then you won't find a bank or any other funding agency that is willing to lend you money. So that was quite some an arduous part of the whole enterprise.
Just one question into this. Sorry, a short one. That can you have a insurance to these kind of houses? Because it's so untypical, insurance, house insurance.
Oh, right. Yes. Well, it's very nice to live here. So actually, most of the people who built them still live there, and that's a good sign, you may say. Some have been sold off because people had to move because of work or because of aging parents. They wanted to live nearby or something like that. And the houses that have been sold, they have, well, the demand is quite high, actually, because, well, you may say it's a niche market, but it's a market in itself, and lots of people really want to live here if they get a chance. So yeah, demand is high enough.
Sorry, just you may misunderstood. I asked whether you can have insurance, house insurance, like like a contract to Because you mentioned it's so untypical, and that's why, maybe the insurance companies didn't want to have.
Okay, I understood. Yeah, I thought you said, is there enough interest? But insurance, well, we managed to do that. The houses were of course taxated in order to get bank loans in order to build them, and we found insurance companies that are willing to insure them, specifically because we built the houses within the whole framework of the Dutch national building regulations. We didn't have any big exceptions. The only thing is that we had to provide the authorities with lots and lots of extras of proof that, for instance, earthen walls and floors are fireproof. That straw bale walls encased in thick layers of earth and plaster, that they are actually solid enough, etc. So we had to kind of provide a stack of like this of extra paperwork in order to make them acceptable for Dutch law.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And I see a few questions, and thanks to Mathieu as well for asking so relevant questions. I see a few questions in the chat, especially around the cost of building. Laura, there is a question to you, but probably relevant for Paul as well. Where does the money come from to build up such a mixed-use building? Maybe it concerns the central building, but I guess maybe the other ones as well.
Basically, there are European through regional funds. And as I said before, there's been especially one kind of funds that allowed the building of Lupurtun, of the Civic and Cultural Center here in my back. And also there were like smaller funds for the private houses around the building. So there has been a great capacity of the municipality along the years to attract funds, as I said, from European and regional funds. The problem is that in Ostana there is a problem that the building construction is quite expensive, because as someone noticed, is very steep, and the construction with the materials in the mountains is also a seismic zone, so there is a special kind of regulations, and is complex. Let's say one of the key problems in Ostana, to show also the other side of the story, is that the patrimonialization worked so well that the houses are very expensive. So now, in the latest year, there's been an effort of the municipality to dedicate a public building to low-income inhabitants. And also in the cooperative, there is a internal discussion of how to create a small experimentation for allowing people to come and stay in Ostana, even if, as I said, the prices are quite high.
And there is another question to both of you. What is the final cost? Maybe it's approximately for these experiences. Of course, it's difficult to estimate the whole cost, but maybe you can you say figures on what you need, of course? And sorry, after that, I give the floor to Lorenzo. Sorry, I saw that you raise your hand. Maybe a quick answer if you can.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's the cost we made about 14 years ago. So it's not really comparable anymore with regular costs, but the total of buying the land and building everything, etc., cost us 5.5 million euros in total. That's divided over 23 households. So that's that's basically it.
Lorenzo, please.
Yes, thank you. I'm French, so my English is not very good. So I'll try my best if you don't mind. And it's a global question, in fact. And I will say in this way, what is the connection to territorial development, which aims to create a cooperative ecosystem and to bring back production that is vital to its residents? In line with the challenge of the ecological, economic, and societal transition. Is it a good question? I may ask here.
I let Paul and Laura answer.
Ostana is located in a very small valley. So there are, of course, a lot of local networks, and there are local networks for agriculture. As I said, also I'm reading also the question in the chat. There is a local network that is structuring now, especially now, about sustainable and inclusive tourism. There is a project called Terres Monviso, which is un progetto di area vasta, si dice in italiano, is a wider area strategic projects. There are different levels, of course, and we are really engaged in all of these processes because, of course, what we learned in this year is that alone we can do a little thing, and to create meaning and livability for a wider place. We really have to build networks and alliances and projects.
Paul?
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing of us getting engaged with the municipality of Oostweijen was that at the time when we met each other, the municipality was just starting with formulating their policies on sustainability. So actually, that kind of leveled each other. We were welcomed as you may say, some kind of a benchmark for their sustainability policies. Instead of that, we had to kind of see how we would fit in. Instead, we helped the municipality out with formulating the building regulations for the neighboring future housing in our direct vicinity. And nowadays, the whole south part of the municipality comprises of ecologically built buildings, which is quite extraordinary how open this municipality was to our suggestions and ideas.
And maybe a related question, Paul, is that I think you might have answered this, sorry if I missed that, but did people have to apply? I think there was a question about the part of this project. I know you talked about different people who got involved, but how that started.
Well, we kind of organically grew as a group. Because we got together as a group of interested people dreaming a dream back in 2006, and from there on we evolved into the group that initially happened to get in touch with the municipality of Oostweijen. So we really evolved into that, and of course we had information around and selection criteria in order to reach the number of families we wanted to build houses for. But that was not a strict period, and then everything went. I mean, it was kind of evolving all the time until the moment we really started building, we really started the construction. That was the moment things kind of consolidated into the group that we still have now.
Very nice. And sorry, we keep the discussion here. I'm a bit uncertain whether it has such a nice dynamic that I'm not sure we should break out into two separate rooms. I don't know how you feel, but if you're okay, I keep asking while I see the questions in the chat. So there was a question, a very honest comment about this commitment to start such a project. But of course, it's a challenge for all of us to start such a thing, even if we are so attracted to it. And the question goes, how did you guys get started? And of course, there are a list of skills of the person. I don't know, Berdi, if you want to add it yourself, or shall I read out the question? I see you now on the screen, but if you're still here, maybe you could tell your dilemma or question directly. If not, I can read out from the chat. Sorry, it scrolls through many faces, but if I hear a voice, I will stop. But anyway, maybe I read it out. Hello, I am a construction estimator. I have a background in construction, but I'm also a conscious, spiritual, and nature and climate conscious person. I would like to push my boundaries and focus on helping to set up initiatives to form communities and put my skills and knowledge to use. There isn't a whole lot I don't know yet, but I do feel a drive. I have ideas, but don't really know what the possibilities are and where to start. So maybe both of you, if you can give an advice based on your experience to this question. Laura, maybe you start. Where did you start? And you're not actually based in Astana or partly based in Astana, or what's your link? Maybe you can tell that as well.
Yes. I have been based in Astana during let's say the COVID years. Now, for family reason, I'm traveling from the main city to Astana. There are a lot of people like me, let's say, moving, going, and coming. No, as I said at the beginning of the presentation, for me, the key point also at political level is the importance of the alliance public-private. It can be done in a lot of ways. It can be also done as a completely independent project. But Astana is a collective project led by the municipality for a lot of years. So I really believe in this connection between the private sector and public policies. It's difficult. In Italy, it's really difficult because especially for the small municipalities, it's really a hard time. But I think, at least for me, this is the key point, because this relation, this alliance public-private is something that can be applied to other places also. It's not an independent and solipsistic project, but a political attitude, let's say.
And Paul, maybe the same?
Yeah. Well, as an individual, I had this dream, and I just kind of decided to do a little presentation of what I thought would be nice, and it appeared to strike a chord with lots of people. So I kind of happened to get into this whole project. So being a bit naive might be a very good advice to start with. Not, I mean, if we as inhabitants now of the Aardehuizen would have known in advance what would lie ahead, I think at least half of us would have run away screaming, not coming back. Luckily, we didn't know, and that was good because that helped us to keep the thing going. But compared to say 10, 15 years ago, these days there are lots of very, very nice networks with people looking for others to share their dream. Like, for instance, Smart Village Network, like Gen Europe. Those networks consist of people working on having as many people as possible realize their dreams, and most of them are eco as well. So I hope that's a good answer for a start to get going.
Very nice, and questions keep coming in. So until it goes like this, we can keep going. I don't know, Ferdi, if you'd like to ask your question, or is it? It's about it's about energy self-sufficiency of Ostana, like we heard about Paul's, and actually that was one of my questions to you, Laura, as well. How far? And I suppose to Lorenzo's question, in a way, like sustainability and this energy self-sufficiency, is it something you consider for the building?
Yes, there are technologies, but the architectural projects are not so radical as the village of Paul. It's like an adaptation of sustainable technology, solar panels, renewable energy, but there is not this radical approach from the beginning, which I'm a big fan of, as Paul know. But
if I may add, I'm
Yes,
Ferdi,
please.
by the way. I will show my face. Sorry. Yeah, just wanted to know: do you also have the vision then to be self-sufficient in a few years or in more years, or is there in fact no clear vision on this?
No, there is a clear vision also about the rechargeable batteries of the cars, the public lightnings. All the municipalities has been very sensitive about this, but there was not this project from the scratch. It was like adapting an historical context to this sensibility. But for sure, there is a wide, a very strong sensibility about this.
It answers, Ferdi, or any other questions? Okay, Hans Olof, so I know you so well that I will ask you to maybe ask your question directly if you're still here, rather than me reading out.
Yes, do you hear me? I don't think I have the camera, but you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can hear you.
I wonder if there have been any political discussions or opposition to your ideas. I can imagine that there are political parties and political people that are thinking this is the green wave, it is woke, or any kind of that thinking. How is it in your municipalities? Do you have a political support, or did you have to fight for it?
Let's start with Paul now.
Well, that was our concern as well when we met the representatives of the municipality firsthand. actually, our first contact was one of the aldermen of this municipality, who was well, never mind. Anyway, so she was a very welcome introduction in the political arena of our whole idea, and you might say also, yeah, she could of course make an assumption of how acceptable we would be. But what was very important was that we had a whole plan worked out, which was quite detailed. It was quite detailed, and we engaged at first in some kind of a research phase together with the municipality, in order to get answers to questions to 10 different areas, which range from the financeability to the feasibility in terms of labor, and the whole legal part of it. So only after that period we officially were engaged as two parties into the eventual realization of the project. So that was a necessary step in between we made. So yeah, and that takes time. So yeah, one of the other things you need to have is time, apart from naivety and some courage, and yeah, just having a dream. You need to have time as well in order to get such a dream, to get it realized.
Laura?
As I mentioned before, the community cooperative has been is the result of a real process of participation engaged by the municipality in 2020. So this is something very special about this place. The actual major publicly declares that the community cooperative is the future of Ostana, for its nature of being a cooperative, not only a regular enterprise. So of course, in these rural areas, villages, there is conflict. So everyone says that they are paradise. They are, disseminating a very fake idea. Of course, it's a real world. There are conflicts. This is fine, because we share. Sometimes we share ideas. Sometimes we don't. The biggest problem in Ostana happened when in, I think, 2050, more or less, the mayor went to the police headquarters asking for immigrants, because his desire and the desire of a part of the community was to welcome people. And I remember saying, if we rebuild the stones and the houses, but we are not able to welcome people, this is a failure. This project is a failure. Of course, I completely agreed with him at that time, but the decision was not welcome from the community, from the local community, in this way. So the village really split in two parts: a part that was in favor of this action, and the other part that was not in favor. But then at the end, after that conflict, also the people that were not really in favor understood that this process of welcoming people was possible, and it was even useful for the village. So it has been a process of learning by doing, like Paul was saying before. And this created a huge conflict. But I think conflict is fine, because if if it works for developing new ideas and learning and understanding, it is fine.
I actually had that question, Laura. I been a challenge at the beginning, but are those people you invited in are still living there, the migrant people and the families, and could they to the community?
There was a group of young people from Pakistan at that time. Most of them studied and stayed for a while and then went to Germany and other places. But one of these people stayed in Ostana, and then the wife came after a few years with the 2 kids. So now all the family is living in Ostana, and he is working. The kids were attending the school, and it has been, as I said, it's normal that people come, go, and someone stay in a normal way.
Very nice. And I see a few more questions. I don't know. I will keep calling people just to see your face. Asking questions, don't worry, I will read out. But maybe Anna, if you're still here, Anna Colominas, you can directly ask your question. If not, I will, of course, read it out.
The last one is really interesting.
Okay, then you read it out. And I read first Anna's, and then it's your turn, Laura. So one question, the newcomers, how, of course, Paul, I guess for you it's all kind of every kind of newcomer. So of course, maybe it's your relationship with the community of all, which is on our list, like how you're connected, integrated with the wider host community. But for you, Laura, maybe like how the newcomers can be integrated and what's the link between the locals and the newcomers? Maybe you can both answer this. Paul, maybe you want to start?
Your microphone just
Just
wasn't
breaking up.
working properly. Do I understand correctly the relationship between newcomers and the old inhabitants of the larger village?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that was another thing we were kind of worried about when we first met some representatives of the municipality. I remember my first question was, how will this land in a village like Olst? And well, they said, "Oh, rest assured, about half of the population is more or less newcomer, and the other half is has been here for ages. But we are kind of used to some new ideas." Well, that proved not entirely right. The interesting thing is we of course organized several meetings to present our ideas to the population of Olst, and we drew full rooms with sometimes 50 people or more, but always they were the kind of natural supporters who were very interested in to hear what happened. So we never really got the feel of how the rest of the population what they would think of us. But the one of the things that we did was during the construction phase was that we hired local specialists in order to help us out with technical stuff, logistics, etc. And by hiring those locals, we got hold of all the stories that went on in the village about us. So we heard like all kinds of wild stories, like that we would live underground and we were kind of hobbits and stuff like that. So we got the local newspaper to print a double page artist impression of what the houses would look like. And from that moment on, things kind of turned that we heard back from those local carpenters and people like, oh, they look like, kind of like normal houses, so maybe those people are normal people as well. So that was one of the turning points. And the other one, of course, well, it's still ongoing. There are still people who never set foot on our terrain. We have open house days. We have guided tours and stuff all the time. So recently, I got an elderly couple who live just about, well, say 700 meters from here, and they never set foot on our premises until then. And they decided, well, let's go and see, and they were very happily surprised. And well, that's the way how things keep on changing gradually, because they will go back and with the positive story, and that all just transplant into, well, whatever, it'll just multiply in the village as they speak of us.
Very interesting. Laura?
Let's say that in Ostana, since there were 5 inhabitants not a long time ago, we are all newcomers somehow, and there is this tolerance about the fact that you're not, your family is not there from the year 1300 and etc. We are a bit, everyone, like my friend Giovanni Tenegi says, we are adopted children, every one of us. So there is this tolerance. No, I was reading before a question, if I may add something, about the biggest obstacle that someone was asking. What has been the biggest obstacle to your project? And for us, really, the bottleneck is the state, is the national state, the lack of policies, the lack of recognition of the possibilities of these villages for many reasons. So we are working as a community cooperative. Now I switch to the community cooperative. Community cooperative usually are funded and work in places where the traditional economy does not work. So you have to do different things, giving services, but the problem is that then you are not recognized in this way, but you have to face the same rules that enterprises in cities or in the plains are facing. So there is a huge work to do about this, to really make these places livable and giving possibilities for new people. I mean, life is possible not only in cities and not only in the plains, but also in the mountains.
Maybe Paul, you can say your biggest obstacle then.
Yeah, I guess that would have been the financing, the financial part, because we had everything online. I mean, we did the whole feasibility test with the municipality. We even interviewed some banks on very different angles of the regular and green perspective, and they said yes, we would probably finance you if you came with a question. But then when we really were at the point of acquiring the land, which was 1.2 hectares of ground, and we're ready to start off. We had all the plans ready, etc. then the banks kind of turned, they sort of were paralyzed because we were right after the financial crisis of 2008, 2009. And after that, all the banks were kind of restricted in whatever they tried to finance. So right in view of the harbor, we were we almost stranded, got stranded, and the whole thing just well, eventually we found one bank that was able to finance us, but that was really hard, and we just made it.
And maybe a related question, and then I give the floor to Peter from Zsuzsanna. Like, if you had to start over, Paul, is there anything you would do differently today, considering your eco village?
Well, that's probably got to do with the ownership issues. We financed it from mortgages, and three houses were financed by this housing corporation. But it's all privately owned, and of course we've got a lot of community ground and a community building, and that's owned by the community. So 1/23 of everything communal is also mine. But as housing prices go up and up and up, I mean the market, at least in the Netherlands, is really crazy about with prices going up and up and up. Our initial goal of building sustainable houses, self-sustainable houses for people from and with any income, that's really in danger now because prices go up and up. So I would have changed with that knowledge. I would probably have a cooperation own the building ground, and probably have some kind of construction in which whenever you sell off your house, you only get you have to give a percentage, or say 40-50% of your of the extra money you gain with that you give that to the corporation in order to have the corporation be able to finance affordable housing for everyone. So that I would change that, and doing that now with that's kind of a hard thing because everyone is kind of locked into this whole financing system. So we're trying to find a way out, but whomever has the golden idea, please come forward.
That's nice. Peter, please.
Yes, hi. So my question is about communication, which I think is interesting because I would have thought before you did your presentation that I would be asking questions around the technology. But now I kind of feel like maybe communication is more generic, but also important. So I guess the question is, what are the key messages to various stakeholders that worked for you that you think are worth communicating or asking the right questions? What are the things that you got across? Because I feel like sustainability is very important, obviously, and at the core of the projects, but also it's very hard to get it over to different people who are maybe hearing from you for the first time. So by stakeholders, I mean both, and you touched upon this already. It might be policymakers, banks, or Paul, you mentioned you have volunteers, or you had at some point. What did you expect from them? How did you communicate what you expect from them? I'm not sure, Laura, if you have any volunteers at the moment. And also, just as the last point, Paul, I saw on one of your slides a golden rule, which was, I think, something like 100%, go 100% public or something like that all the time. And just maybe if you could elaborate this, because I feel like it could be important, but also felt a little bit like living under the microscope, if you know what I mean. So how has this developed over the years? So yeah, again, to sum it up, what are the key messages to various stakeholders when you communicate about the projects?
Thanks a lot, Peter. Maybe let's start with Laura this time.
Okay, it's a very interesting question. My personal battle in these years about communication has been, as I was saying before, to avoid all the vocabulary of marginality, inner areas, deprivation of any kind, which is the what is mostly present in social media and media. There is also a strange polarization in television, TV channels, about from one side the marginalities, I said, etc., and from the other side, the heroes, the pioneers, etc. And both the attitudes, both the storytelling are not helping us at all, because it lacks this kind of storytelling lacks completely, from one side, the complexity, and from the other side, the potential. So what we avoided in relation to any kind of stakeholders, projects or media, was to were these two attitudes. So trying to how can I say, to clean the words also that we use, and also the attitude. Sometimes not presenting ourselves as the little village and the little projects created problems, because is not what is socially acceptable. Not to be somehow subalterno, non mi viene la parola, I don't find the word in English, to find some kind of complexity and specific posture. That's why we always use the term eccentric.
Nice. Paul?
Yeah. Yeah, I touched on this this topic, of course, with well, the whole fact that we were kind of invited by the municipality to engage in conversation on if we were to see if our project could be built in at this place. That was, of course, a sign that they were open for us. And the thing that probably kind of was the final push was the fact that the village of Olst is, well, really in itself, it's kind of mediocre. It's kind of insignificant in terms of being known for this or being known for that. So the coming of the Aardehuis project meant that we could put Olst on the map, not only nationally but internationally. Well, the proof of that was, of course, the fact that we drew in 2,000 volunteers from all over the world. We kept count of that, 27 different countries, ranging from Canada and New Zealand to Hong Kong, India, all kinds of Eastern European countries, Scandinavia, well, and some people from Gambia. So we really were all over the place in terms of exposure, and that gets me to that part. It's one of the golden rules, indeed. I put out, um, and that deranges from the permaculture principle of that you have to create as much edge as possible. An edge in green terms is, for instance, at the edge of a forest, where a forest changes into a meadow, for instance. That's the place where biodiversity thrives. So edge in social terms means that you get exposure as much as possible with different social circles, in order and as much media attention as possible, in order to draw in people, draw in ideas, draw in the human biodiversity in that sense, and cross-pollination. So that's been our middle name. Actually, it's in our mission statement still. So the end of our mission statement says we still want to inspire the world. Well, the fact that I'm here in this session tells it probably.
I think there is a very interesting question still in the chat that I'd like to read out from Gabriella. So can you hear me fine? Because it says internet connection is breaking up, but hopefully it's okay. So can you give one example when you were skeptical about the success of your project? In other words, can you name the biggest, this was the obstacle, but that you already talked about, Laura, but I think the first part of the question is interesting. Were there any moments, actually I had this on my list for the workshop as well, when you felt that this might not happen, or all day long you were sure about your goals and that you will get there? Or any point in the process where you really felt that it might fall over? Maybe Laura? I put you in the...
Difficult question. No, I've never been skeptical, because I really think this is a space for imagining a new way of living, a new economy, a new relation with the environment and the ecosystem. So it was not about being skeptical. I was worried about the, as you said, Edina, as you know, Edina, about the bottlenecks that I mentioned before. Not really skeptical about the project, because I think it's the right space for meeting questions and answers regarding the challenges that we have to face, beginning with climate change, the injustice, social injustice in the cities. But of course, there are bottlenecks, yes.
Very Paul?
Yes. Well, at several moments during the whole process, from dreaming the dream to actually opening the door of my own house and starting to live there. At several moments, me and my partner, we were like, "Oh, is this still the project we envisioned? Is this still the dream we started off with?" Because there were many instances at which we had to compromise our ideals with reality of the physical reality of what could be done within the time frame and within the frame of the money available and all the resources available. So we had to compromise in terms of materials that were applied for building the houses. We had to compromise in also the architecture in terms of shapes and variety in shapes, stuff like that. And so on a personal level, I've had about 3 or 4 times that I really thought like, maybe we should start all over again. But we had little children and we didn't want to put them through the same process all over again. So we just kept on going. And the same was for the fact that before we even built anything, we had just bought the land. And we did some extra research on the layers that were underneath it, and it appeared that at about a depth of 8 or 9 meters deep, there was this thick layer of turf of peat that was a really soft layer, and it was kind of consistent all over the place. So we actually had as one of our principles was that we didn't want to build with concrete or cement, or avoid it as much as possible. And the very thing we had to do before we had even built anything was find about 150,000 euros in our total budget in order to finance concrete foundations. Otherwise, we couldn't build on the site. So that was really painful, really painful thing. And that was, we got through it because we wanted to show that building something like the earth houses would be a viable thing to do in the Netherlands anywhere, because there's only a few pockets, a few areas in the Netherlands where you have sandy soil, which is kind of solid, and the rest of the land of the country is, you may say, a former swamp. So you got soft layers all over the place, and we wanted to showcase that you can build it anywhere. So we went along on the site and we paid for the concrete. We put the concrete in the ground, and after that we said, okay, let's put a thick layer over it and compensate for for what we put in the ground with everything we put on it for the rest of our lives.
That's a big commitment, but it's very nice to hear. I don't know, I'm looking, because we changed the method and we are, I think, approaching to the end. I'm looking at my colleague Katrina, because we didn't do the breakout rooms. We would have facilitated those. If you have any question any questions on your list that you feel we still missed out and worth asking here.
Yes, I think we covered quite well the questions linked to how to start a project like this, and also on the community side, and how to create the community and integrate with the local existing community. But we did not touch a lot questions concerning architecture when it comes to eco-village approach. Maybe I have one question that's still not covered, and you told, Paul, it's a question for you. Yes, you told that this is quite a new concept, and you needed to learn by doing whole time of the construction. And I also know that the airship concept is something that is similar, but well, it's a like a movement, but it still needs to be adapted to different geographical and climate conditions. So it's quite a new for each location. But the question is, maybe you can tell us a bit about the most challenging functional and technical issues that you have met during this construction process, and also as the earthship concept houses use a lot of these circular systems. Are there any health-related risks if those systems breaks down, for example? And speaking also about the health risks, is there any polemics linked with the materials used also in the construction, as for example the used tires and other materials? Maybe you can cover this question, please.
It's quite a broad question. I hope we have the rest of the night to answer them. Well, I'll just try to kind of make it very condensed. We did some alterations to the generic design of an earthship as it was designed by Michael Reynolds, an American architect, who originally designed them for a semi-desert situation in New Mexico. For instance, the fact that the Netherlands is quite densely populated, that means that the building ground is quite expensive, and that meant that we had to compress the whole design into rows of houses connected to each other instead of all separate houses. As you can see, whenever you go on the internet and Google for earthship, you'll find solitary houses all over the planet, but nowhere row houses like we create. So that's one thing, and we've got vegetation roofs. It's kind of a compensation for the space we take up with the houses. Well, biodiversity is one of our main targets to enhance, and the only way to do that is to have vegetation on your roofs as well in order to compensate for the space we take up. And that we could only do that because we've got plenty of water. We don't have to catch through our roofs. We don't have individual modules to purify rainwater. Instead, we have some wells we use, and we have a central drinking water facility. Now, of course, that can all break down, but we have a very skilled group. We have working groups maintaining all the community facilities, including the drinking water and the water purification system. And we rotate the membership of those working groups in order to make sure that the expertise needed is being spread as much as possible throughout the whole population of the Aardehuizen. That way we are more resilient as a group. And it's fun to get to work with other members of a community as well, instead of working the rest of your days in only one specific working group, because that happens to be your specialty. It's nice to learn new things, and that keeps us going. So yeah, just a very short answer. I'd really would like to invite you to come to the workshop next year in May, when we have a 2-day workshop with many more questions and issues being answered, but also you can help. You can get engaged in designing your own project if you are up to that.
Thanks a lot, Paul. And maybe a closing question to Laura linked to that. We started with architecture and construction. And if you can keep it short, Laura, because I know we have a few slides just to say about the next steps. And sorry, Anita, for leaving it so late, but the discussion is interesting. So you started off with renovating and regenerating those buildings. Of course, looking at the beautiful village, it's always a question how far it's replicable in other communities, because you've got a very special architecture. But maybe just to say 2 words about, like, was it worth it? Of course, for the outlook of it, it is. But in terms of the functionality of the buildings, I was wondering whether they keep up with time, or it's rather a challenge in terms of sustainability. Maybe a quick answer to that.
No,
and then I pass the
very quick answer. I think it's well worth it. I think it's especially for kids and families being raised in a beautiful environment, ecosystem, natural environment. At the same time, architecture quality is priceless. In Italy, sometimes, for example, schools are not the best places you can stay in. So I think it's very, very important. And also being able to create this cooperation between the traditional architecture and the contemporary view and culture has been a key point. It's not a traditional kind of space, it's our interpretation. So it's like a tree with stronger roots and branches, and this is something that we totally agree with. And following Paul, I also invite you to Astana from the 25th to the 27th of September this year for the 5th edition of the Conversazioni Festival, which is a festival dedicated to community cooperative and enterprises engaged in territories.
Thanks a lot. I can see that there might be some more questions, but of course you can always email it to us. And sorry, we are running a little bit late, but I confirm I have been to Astana and it's beautiful. The community building is just a pleasure to enter, and I'm very much looking forward to visit Paul's community. So with this, before passing just for very quick next steps to Anita, I would like to hugely thank to both of you for keeping up and keep answering the questions. Thanks a lot for Lorenzo for sharing a lot of comments and resources on transition processes and all that, sustainability, resilience, and all the issues in the chat. Thanks for that activity, and all of you who ask questions. It's so inspiring to see this level of interest. So this was brilliant. So Paul and Laura, thanks, huge thanks to both of you.